Tyler, we got updated financial results from QuantumScape not too long ago. Of course, there's not a lot to report on the operating side, but it's always a good chance to get an update with where things are with their pre-production, with their processes they're working on, the relationship they have with Volkswagen, with other OEMs that they have established relationships with, most of which are confidential. But it's always a good chance to check in and see where things are. You ready to take a closer look at what we just learned about QuantumScape?
Yeah, and unlike previous iterations of this, this most recent update actually kind of gave us some clues on some of the things that could be going on behind the scenes.
That's right. We're going to take a closer look at this really innovative, interesting company. I'm Jason Hall. This is Investing Unscripted. This video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. If you're looking for even more great stock ideas, you should go check out our special link. It's fool.com/unscripted. Go to that link and you can get access to the 10 best stocks to buy right now. Definitely take the time to check that out. Tyler, I'm going to start here with this slide from their most recent presentation that came out just about a week ago. And it's remarkable what the company has done. It's a little misleading how close these slides are together, 2010 and 2020. But really, you get from 2020 to now. It's a pretty remarkable amount of progress they've made in this short period of time.
Yeah, the business itself or the technology that drives it is this one special component of a battery that is a little bit different than what we traditionally see. It's this ceramic separator that allows it to do what it does versus a conventional battery. But some of the things like the testing and some of the small scale manufacturing we've been able to do it because the technology exists to do it. But trying to take this novel idea and actually scale it up is quite remarkable because there are a lot of companies in this space trying to do similar things, whether it be in hydrogen with or other solid state battery companies, or basically a lot of these innovative energy capture, storage, generation sort of businesses that have been living on hopes and prayers and have done very little to execute. And one of the things that has impressed me with QuantumScape, admittedly a company I kind of scoffed when when it first went public as kind of a science project disguised as a business. It's actually become like something of a business. So I really want to give them credit for that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, and we have clear evidence that it's made a lot of progress with its partnership with Volkswagen. And we saw on there in 2018 that they formed a joint venture with Volkswagen. Volkswagen has stood up a battery manufacturing business called PowerCo. It's a really creative name. That now there's a licensing agreement in place with QuantumScape. They've reached milestones to start receiving some licensing royalties in advance that give them the capital they need to continue working on developing their process and continue working on develop and to keep on making the incremental improvements they need to get this up to full scale commercial manufacturing. Lots of progress that's been made. Let's share one more slide that I think breaks some of that down. Go back to 2012 when VW made its initial investment in QuantumScape. We're starting to get more evidence too that not only is that relationship important and paying off, but it's driving the company closer and closer to some commercial success. VW was one of the initial seed investors forming that JV in 2018. But the thing that I think is really interesting about this particular slide, Tyler, is we're starting to see names like Bentley and Bugatti and Porsche and Lamborghini show up on here. These parts of the Volkswagen group that aren't competing with a Toyota Prius. These are high-end, high-performance vehicles. And it seems like one good prediction could be that this is where PowerCo and the VW Group looks to leverage the initial production of batteries that are using QuantumScape solid-state technology.
Yeah, if you kind of step back and think about it, like this is obviously a stepwise function change in the way that we make batteries, and so it's likely to therefore or command a premium relative to a Toyota Prius, if you will, or some other kind of lower middle market EVs. I don't think this is an accident. Going into the luxury market that's going to give certainly its luxury brands an added cachet. Being able to deliver an EV that can go 750 miles on a charge and be recharged in less than 15 minutes is something that is going to be very appealing to a luxury car maker and luxury car customer. And the one thing that really stands out to me, though, is it looks like a great opportunity, but at the same time, luxury car components are built to an even higher standard than your typical car component. And so it would be a sign that if this goes right, that these this type of battery is probably going to be held to a little bit more scrutiny than probably something that's going in the $25 to $35,000 electric vehicle that they're trying to build today.
That's right. And I think there's a little bit of the Tesla approach here. If you think about what Tesla did that led to the success that it's now having more broadly with lower price vehicles was the launch of the Model S. This was the typical Model S. It was a $100,000 car from the beginning, and it was outselling Mercedes comparable sedan on a global basis. The demonstration that you can have an electric car that's also very fast and fun and sexy and stylish and appealing up market. And we know, again, based on the performance aspects that we've seen for the solid state batteries they've shown, what can a battery that you can charge really quickly also do, Tyler? It can
Discharge really
discharge
fast.
really quickly. Yeah, that's like the electric equivalent of horsepower here. So
Yeah,
it's getting power to the wheels. And you think about the performance model, the performance vehicles that are out there. This is where EVs can get really compelling because it's also lighter than the traditional lithium batteries. So there's a lot that the upscale market will really like about this technology. I think it's going to be really interesting. I've got one more slide that I want to share from this. And then I'm going to talk about the competitive threat for a second because there's some things happening out there. It's not a one horse race, but we'll start here. Some things that I like about the PowerCo deal. Again, this is unlike the JV with Volkswagen, this is a non-exclusive license, right? So this means that QuantumScape continues to have control of its own technology to be able to sell to other OEMs beyond just PowerCo, which again is the Volkswagen Group battery arm. So that's a really important thing. The ability to scale it up over time. I think this is going to be a really powerful way for QuantumScape to both start generating cash flow without leveraging the existing business or diluting existing shareholders to do it, while also controlling its own future and its own technology. I think I don't want to undersell how important that is. That's a really valuable thing. We're going to see how it's going to play out over time. Let's talk about competition because Toyota's looks like making some really serious progress here too.
yeah. For the longest time, it looked like QuantumScape was kind of the one horse race in this solid state kind of stepwise change in terms of batteries. But just recently, I think it was actually well, a couple months ago, Toyota announced that it got approval from the Japanese government to start production of solid state batteries. And it expects to have solid state battery production in 2026, which means that they have a working model and they have something that is operational relatively soon. I don't think they would make an announcement like that, especially a company like Toyota. Toyota doesn't necessarily mess around and overpromise on a lot of things. And so to see them basically say, look, we're going to start producing a solid state battery in 2026 kind of shows that this market is going to get competitive and may also, in some senses, kind of give QuantumScape an additional sort of kick in the pants, if you will. They've been going at a relatively decent pace, but if somebody else comes to market with this, somebody like a Toyota who may not necessarily have to play really slow and only go into the most luxury ends of its markets. And I don't know, Toyota comes out with a RAV4 with a solid state battery in it. That's going to really change the equation. And it's going to probably force QuantumScape into doing making some more deals, making and trying to get that production level up to a state that it can build economies and scales and allow that battery to be sold at lower price point vehicles.
Yeah, that's right. Heat and pressure makes diamonds, Tyler. I think competition in the market is a good thing because the company's either going to be successful or they're going to fail. And when you have pressure to succeed, you compress your timelines, you work harder, you work faster. I absolutely believe that that's going to help them innovate and either succeed or not based on their own merit. So I think it's a good thing. Last thing to talk about here, really quickly, we've seen over the past year changes in management at QuantumScape that generally you and I both agree have been good things. They've brought in people that understand advanced manufacturing, particularly from the semiconductor industry, where it's precision manufacturing is really critical and you're making things very precisely that you're making in very large volumes. So those skill sets translate really well to making a solid state battery. And we've seen the founder of QuantumScape, Jagdeep Singh, steadily take on less and less of a role. He moved out of the CEO chair last year into the chairman seat, and he's retiring at the end of the year. Again, founder of the company, close to 15 years of time with Dennis Sagers, who's going to be coming in. Was just announced to the board. He's going to be coming in as the chairman. This is somebody with a background in the semiconductor industry. So we continue to see that legacy of leadership change, moving from developing a product, moving into high scale precision manufacturing. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm of two minds. Like you said, this is clearly not a science project anymore. This is a operational business that is going to have precision manufacturing done at high volumes. It's probably something that Jacques Sim didn't really have an expertise in. He was a materials science engineer from Stanford. So maybe there isn't a lot of expertise that overlap, but there is a little part of me that says, look, if the person who's this was his baby, he was the founder, he brought this thing up from zero to see that he's retiring moments before it hits the ground. There's a little part of the back of my head that says, "That's a little off." I mean, 15 years, great for him. I'm sure he made his money doing this, but I am one of those people that does believe management matters a lot and incentives for management matter a lot, and to see a founder kinda leave so close to the finish line tings a little odd to me.
Yeah, I don't love it as well. I definitely wouldn't put it at the red flag level, but it's definitely something that it's going to have me paying closer and closer attention. And I can tell you when the next annual report and proxy statement comes out, I'm going to be looking really closely at how they're incentivizing these new leaders. Because what was it Charlie Munger said? Show me the incentive and I'll show you the result.
It's probably
Something
the
along
best
those
line
lines.
in financial writing ever read.
Yeah, so it's really important to understand that very well. Any way you slice it though, Tyler, the results continue to be impressive, a lot to be optimistic about. Now comes the hard part, putting the rubber to the road and actually making batteries and putting them in cars and making those cars go really fast. So we're going to keep following this story. We'll have another video as soon as we get more information about QuantumScape. We'll see you then.